When they had their first child, her name is Louisa, and their oldest one, and she was born at Gary Lake, March of 1952. And their first child was deaf-mute.
Yeah. So how did they know she was deaf?
Kano ko kayo malilok pisyo kako nang imat. Siyang imat. They started noticing that when she was sleeping, when people were talking, she wouldn't make any movements, and she wouldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
And that's when they got suspicious, and they started thinking she must be deaf. And the only time she would seem to hear was only when they touched her.
When they touched her like that. Okay.
When she was newborn, they didn't know that she was deaf until she started getting older, and that she couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Back then they didn't have doctors. She was born in an igloo.
So then she got a little older and they started to communicate by signing with her.
Tay maangin pa din nga ni ukto ka tiblo tay man nakatigi ko naksidilok siya.
Kahit tema nagtuhakong nangit matuhayong nangit makaulilap tiga tok-tok yan. Ema nalunig lokdakan ngit man ayok nakatilaw man.
The only way they would communicate with her was by touching her after they found out that she couldn't hear and that she was deaf. They couldn't even stomp their feet because there was nothing to vibrate on the floor or anywhere.
Yeah.
So the only way they would contact her was by touching her.
Yeah.
And that's when they found out she was deaf.
Tuhangit maaksukot mga malun na kawal malawit tungulok. Tuhangin niya tukihilap tigo kisya.
When she was 2 years old, when they were, when they moved to Baker Lake, they finally went to a nursing station, I guess, and after they found out that she was deaf, the health people started showing them video of how they should be dealing with deaf people because they didn't have any idea how to deal with a little girl who was deaf.
Right.
When my sister was 2 years old, there was only her older sister and their 2 kids that were left alone because my father and others had to try and they had to walk to try and catch caribou because back then there was some famine going on. And there was these 2 little kids. When they were left alone, they had to try and catch something to eat because back then they didn't have nothing to eat. There was quite a few ptarmigans around, but they had to throw rocks at them in order to catch them, and they finally caught one. And they started walking back to their place, and when they went home, Louisa was gone, and my mom went out looking, and she was looking around. She couldn't find her, although she knew she couldn't hear. She would call her name out, Louisa, Louisa. And when she looked further up, going up, she saw this tiny little thing walking up, and she said she had to try and go because she was already pretty far. And she was quite worried about her because she can't hear, and what if something was to be going close to her and she won't hear. She tried really going fast to try and catch her, but she was walking pretty fast. And and that same year, following year, in the fall, my mom was told that Louisa had to leave, and she didn't know what to say, and she had no choice but to let her go. And she was only like almost 3. When she was 3 years old, they told her that she'd have to leave her family.
She was only 3.
Yes. They sent her down to Winnipeg when she was 3 years
When
old.
she was 3 years old.
Yes. And they kept her in Winnipeg for a long time, and only after my parents moved to Rankin, they finally sent her to Rankin.
Winnipeg milin niya. May nakajaw nana ng mga kalaksyon. Winnipeg milin niya labulak po kakinuwa at tuwang.
When she was down in Winnipeg, she would be staying with foster home, foster parents, and after that, she was in Winnipeg for so many years, and later on, she was sent to Vancouver to attend high school. They would both be crying before they would depart from each other, and they had no choice. And they had no choice at all but to let her go, and they would both be crying. After having Louisa, she had another girl who was deaf, but she was adopted to her sister.
Oh, okay.
And then she had Philippa, who's also deaf. And
She's
then
gone. Johnny.
And then JM,
JM.
who's deaf.
Deaf.
And then Johnny. They were in a famine area, and they were like very hungry all the time, and only in the winter time they would have tea. And they would be trading fox fur to Baker Lake,
Okay.
to the Hudson Bay. Back then when they were fur trading, they didn't have any money, so they would be trading them with little blocks or little sticks. They would be using them to trade their food with.
Okay.
Linya ko mangitolo, may linya ko wala ko. Audit luninga. Linya ko siguro mamangitolo, maanya ko itolo, linya na linya lang ko madyan.
With her first one, she had a hard time, but the other four, she got used to, because it was a lot easier for her, knowing that they are deaf too, and that she was going to be coping with them. But for her youngest one, his name is Johnny, she had a hard time. Well, she felt for him, because when she would try and tell him to go to school, he would not want to go to school and make excuses such as the school is smelly, and that he gets headaches from them. And, but she's very proud of him, because he finished high school. Graduated from school. For Philip, he attended school for the deaf in Winnipeg, but apparently his foster parents were mistreating him. And my mother was worried that once he gets bigger, that they were going to have a hard time with him. And the way he was telling my mom was that his foster parents were mistreating him, and as soon as he wanted to stop going to school, my mom just, said, okay, that's it. He's not going back to school. Stay home. They would have a hard time putting him on the plane, and that's when he's not going back to school yet. And when she went to education to find out if Philip can go to school here, in in the schools here, they were telling her that it costs too much to bring up any kind of equipment to use for teaching deaf students, and she asked them, why is it so expensive when other stuff that you try and get are the same amount? And that's when they started accepting the fact that they're going to have students who are deaf in the school.
Right, in the school.
Yeah.
Actually, may sapok. Mukhang siya minalulok sungalo. Kisya ko yala katalak tunga ma narlo. Tahi ko rin makayo ito ko sa kangit nga. Hita manita ko, hita mata ko kasi mga bigmig no kanto sakto yo kanta mata ko yelin.
She doesn't have very much to say now, but all she wants to say is she's very thankful. At least she has not just one child who is deaf, because the other siblings who are the other four are deaf. They can really communicate with each other, and even though they're really communicating, you can't hear them, but they enjoy themselves. I appreciate, I accept the fact that they are like this.
Right. But everybody is using sign language, everybody is accepting them, everybody is communicating.
Tama, may ilagi yun, o kakataka ko ng mata amalo, kano'y siya ng mata, ilakang namin, teman na ito, may o kayo itinin, teman na ito ba?
Tema na ito, ilin niya kasi winingin doon ni tema na agawin ito sa na ayun.
Yes, they all get along with the whole family, including the classmates that they have. Like they all know their sign language. Yes.
Yeah, they communicate with each other.
They do communicate with each other.
Isa ni hiningningan ko kauli yung nakamaliuwa nga tema na bisa ka akong naktuksaw man. Nanuta ka lang, inuto kami tuhangit mga kauli haktaw ngito kami ito kauli nagit. So kaya nuli kauli haktaw ko tigi balik mata kauli daw ko tigi balik tuksaw lugal kisya ni tema na o akong naktumig sibudlak pamil yuta ka kako ni tapos ito na tiyo akong naktututya pero kagaya kakta o akong nangito.
The best advice that my parents, Monica and Thomas UGJUK, would give is, when you have your first child, you're not going to know the difference whether the child is deaf or hearing. The only way you'll find out is by noticing how they're sleeping without ever, hearing all the noise. But in today we have technology, and that's the technology that we have today can tell them right away if they're deaf or not. And the advice also is, if you know that you have a child who is deaf, and if you have children who are hearing, they would like to see that all of them be treated equally. Don't mistreat your child just because he or she is deaf. You have to treat them all the same.
Good.
Action.
Kakak pandai waktu kalau banyak iya cakap takutnya ayo waktu dulu kayu cakap takutnya baka kayu nak kesau kata nak kakak pandai kakak ini iya tidak pandai teman dapat itu ayah kau tu.
And his advice is, it's about the same as what my mom said. For those future parents to be, if you have a child who is deaf, please treat them equally. They're human beings just like all of us, and they want them to be treated all the same.